Welcome to Wargroove! This is Sneaky Dragon, and we're gonna do round 4 of the Groove of War 6 Swiss Qualifiers. Only a few people from these qualifiers will get to go onto the World Championship Tournament, so let's see how everyone's doing. I think first off, we're gonna take a look at Mohilder versus Dipsy, Dpsi. Let's jump into their first match. And in the orange, we have Mohilder playing Wolfar. Now, I predicted that Wolfar might not be as strong this tournament, and we have a Wolfar mirror. So this will not particularly tell us anything about how good Wolfar will be in general. In the teal, or the light green over there, we have Dipsy, also playing Wolfar. It's a Wolfar off on Pirate's Curse. I saw everybody in the Discords were talking about Pirate's Curse and the right way to open, whether or not you go for the village or the soldier, and how exactly to get the most economy and the best advantage. Everyone's been trying to science out this map, and I'm excited to see how these two players do it. Dipsy retreats the sword, but brings their village really low. I wonder if Mohilder's Wolfar is going to attack that village to get some free groove. They could also just grab the sea village to Wolfar's right. Oh, lots of really deep village claims there. But no, they don't decap the village. Yeah, that makes sense, actually. They're just going for this orange village here. If we take a look at the economy real quick, Mohilder definitely has the lead, though Dipsy is slowly closing the gap and bringing out a knight to help retake some villages. Mohilder, though, also has a knight, has brought Wolfar to full health, and is starting to attack and harass that one teal village within their territory. A dragon comes out from Mohilder, really good unit to have on Wolfar. Ooh, the knight flips that sea village, Wolfar flips the side village, and Dipsy makes some very aggressive plays, flipping villages all across the map to try to retake the econ lead from Mohilder. If we look at that, Dipsy has not retaken the lead, but they're slowly closing it. However, it's just a little bit too slow, as Mohilder's still snowballing off of their earlier lead. They have Dragon and Knight in the center of the map. This unit formation, known as Dragonite, I'm going to start calling it that. I've been calling it that in my head for so long, I'm going to do it out loud for the first time, guys. Dragonite. It's a powerful formation because the Knight can kill the Mage, and the Dragon can kill everything else. A Witch will threaten off this Dragonite formation, and although Wolfar can smack the Witch, there's not really Flagstone enabling him to kill it. So the Witch is pretty safe. Knight crit and Dragon Strike on the HQ. Whoa! Following up with a Wolfar group, that's just game! That's just game! Mohilder just straight up sniped the HQ with a brilliant rush. That was so well done, and it relied on getting a lot of early economy to afford the Dragon, get everything into place, and then pull the trigger. Knight crit, Dragon Strike, and then Wolfar Groove to finish it off. That was beautiful! Let's check out Game 2 from these two players, and we'll see if Dipsy gets revenge. Oh, wow. That was a play that everyone is going to have to watch out for now. Alright, I see more Wolfars coming out from both players. No! Mohilder is not playing their number 1 Wolfar. They are playing Nuru. Believe it or not, it's Dipsy that chose to stay Wolfar. I'm kind of favoring Mohilder here. Actually, you know what? I don't think Nuru is that strong on this map either. I don't know what to make of this. I'd say these commanders are pretty even. But given the cheese we saw last round, I wonder if Dipsy can imitate it and pull an HQ rush as P1 this time. Or maybe Mohilder's prepared for it. I don't know. We'll see what these two do. Everyone's grabbing villages left and right, and yeah, Mohilder goes for that soldier smack. They've done the same thing as P2 as they did in P1. It looks like they're doing the exact same strategy. Dipsy favors a different strategy, healing their commander a bit sooner, and then attacking the village instead of attacking the soldier. We see Mohilder does go for a heal this time, retreating their commander. They're pretty much just mirroring what they did at P1. They have the early knight, but they can't really afford a dragon at this point. And we see that Dipsy got a knight out first. Some good aggression from Dipsy going in with Wolfar. And they have a dragon. It looks like they're trying to imitate Mohilder's rush. Will Mohilder be prepared for it, though, having done it the first time? Really good use of the knight crit to flip that village there. Mohilder has shown very, very good and clever knight positioning all game, and went double mage to take out the dragon. That's interesting. Not going witch, just going double mage. Dpsi also gets the knight crit on the village and flips it, starting to move their units towards the center of the map. If we look at the economy, though, Mohilder has been favored despite being P2. They clearly have the advantage overall. We see that Mohilder has definitely established some presence on this map. Lots of swords in the way of the Knight crit Dragon Strike. The Knight isn't even set up to crit the Stronghold. I don't think we're going to see an imitation of last game. That's a solid wall, and it will not be broken. We do have 2 Knights on the side of Dpsi, and more than enough to fight into the mages that Mohilder has been building. But a dragon comes out from Mohilder as well, and Mohilder is flipping villages. They're not letting anything stop them from playing the game, and they're still managing to defend their stronghold. Now, with the flagstone where it is, Mohilder could theoretically kill... Dpsi could take out Mohilder's dragon. Yup, there it is, by golfing it onto the flagstone. But it's very dangerous to do, as it leaves lots of swords that can suicide into Mohilder, as well as putting their... Dipsy, as well as putting their commander next to a very vulnerable beach tile. They block off the beach tile with soldiers, and dogs, making it so that they can't be attacked on 2 sides. This is a very successful wall strategy, because the wall cannot be penetrated. Or so Dpsi thought, but by suiciding the swords that were damaged from the groove, the wall could be penetrated. We see multiple full-health sword suicides going into Dpsi. The half-health sword suicide. The knight goes in. There's a commander attack. There was a roll there that was not guaranteed, but that was a solid attack. Decent odds. Great attack either way, and Mohilder takes game 2. Really great use of the swords to wall off there, but because the groove gave 2 damage sword suicide potential, the wall could be broken without an archer. Great plays. Alright, so Mohilder takes 2 games off of Dpsi, pretty much what we expect from Mohilder there. In fact, they're doing even better than they did last tournament. Dpsi is a strong player, but Mohilder is pulling their veteran... the veteran skills we've seen from them in early tournaments, back when they were considered one of the best players. I think they're looking to rise this tournament and maybe give a challenge for the World Championship. Alright, I see Sejhun versus Sequoia. We have to see these matches. Sejhun versus Sequoia, they have not played that match yet. Okay. I'm gonna just, skip that one. Alright, they apparently haven't played that match yet. Let's take a look at Stargen versus Chappington. Alright, we see another Nuru. I'm actually surprised with all the Nurus on this map. So far, I don't think the Nuru groove has really impacted the game. Mohilder won just with a grooveless victory, basically. We've definitely seen the Wolfar cheese be impactful, but also that it could be blocked. So far, I wouldn't say that any particular commander is dominating here. But it is making me rethink my Wolfar tier list a little bit. That was a really nice cheese. Either way, we see Stargen going for an early heal, and they didn't even have to contest that village on the right. Chappington is playing their favorite commander, Dark Mercia, and I don't think anyone is going to ban that off of Chappington just because Dark Mercia is not considered good, but hopefully Chappington can prove us wrong there. We see everybody just scrambling for villages in the early game. Lots of variations on this opening. I think there is a lot of science around the water villages, and Chappington has been one of the folks talking the most about it. An early pike! Really risky on this map, because a pike is very slow to activate. Normally you want to build a pike when you want to do a slow push. And Stargen, not missing a beat, builds a giant. That giant is going to be very impactful. It'll counter that pike, be able to move faster than the pike. It can fight with Dark Mercia with this knight. There's a lot of power on this side of the map to threaten off the commander. But meanwhile, on the left side of the map, Chappington has power, putting swords and dogs right in front of Nuru, backed up by knights and dragons. Both players have their main army on the side where their commander is not. And we can see Stargen is slowly inching towards the center, builds a witch to fight off the dragon, puts Nuru on a risky beach tile there, but I think they'll be able to live this. I'm not sure. Let's see. Dog, dragon, knight. Yeah, the dragon couldn't reach because of this flagstone. That probably saved Nuru from certain death. Gotta be a little bit careful, though. Putting a dragon in front of Nuru, she can spawn a mage and kill it fairly efficiently. We see the golem just attacks right into Dark Mercia, no fear, and does so from a forest tile, so it's pretty tanky on the counterattack damage. Good play there. Stargen kind of retreating on the right a little bit. And on the left, it looks like Chappington is able to push forward here. Brings out a golem of their own, drops a mage heal, and just does some fairly efficient damage to that golem right there. I wouldn't say it's perfectly efficient, but that golem is in need of some heals. Oh, this is what we were talking about. The dragon is too close to a forest tile, and Nuru is able to summon a mage for 800 gold and take it out. This gives Nuru 400 gold, a unit down in that the dragon is defeated, and a unit difference of another 450 gold. So ultimately, that's 850 gold and 2 units in Nuru's favor, as long as she doesn't miss a build for doing that. The problem is it's expensive, you kind of miss a build for it, so really it's a +1 and 800 gold. But a +1 and 800 gold is not bad for a medium charge groove. For those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, basically I'm saying that the trade was worth about 800 gold to Nuru, as well as a 1 unit, a 1 piece on the board. That's basically what using the groove like that was worth. Nuru can use her groove in a lot of different creative ways, so it's important to consider whether or not they're using it as effectively as possible. We see a lot of really cheap units coming out from Nuru now, and this is one of the downsides of playing Nuru. You spend a lot of money on your groove, so your next turn your builds aren't as good. We see a lot of powerful attacks coming out from Dark Mercia. Oh, so much damage coming out. The commander's weakened, the knight is weakened, that village was flipped. And they just keep opening more spaces for more and more attacks. This is a really powerful attack by Chappington, backed up by Dark Mercia groove. We see a witch hex goes in and a knight suicide, but the knight doesn't suicide, it lives because it was attacking from a forest tile. It really had to attack from a different tile to suicide into that. It looks like they gave up on the lethal there after the knight failed to suicide, just kind of pushing forward with a bunch of troops and reshuffling, but no damage is being done to Chappington. Chappington is not taking damage in this attack. That means that Chappington can either retreat or push forward. Oh yeah, there's just a surrender, It looks like Stargen lost too much in that fight and decided it wasn't worth continuing. Well played, Chappington. I think they just slowly outplayed their opponent on economy and tactics there, and Nuru tried for a suicide and just didn't get the roll. Alright, let's watch Game 2, Chappington versus Stargen. Alright, once again we see Chappington playing Dark Mercia in the teal, and Stargen is in the red playing Greenfinger. Also, what's amazing is so far groove hasn't really mattered. We saw Nuru groove, but sadly Nuru just isn't that impactful. The groove was useful, but ultimately it just picked a fight that Nuru couldn't follow up on. Dark Mercia never got to groove. So far we haven't seen a lot of Commander's groove. Most of these fights have just been coming down to tactics. The player with better tactics wins. Though I will say that that one epic Wolfar cheese definitely came down to the Commander choice. But once you know that exists, you can kind of prepare for it and not let it happen. Still, the threat of that is beautiful. The threat of that is beautiful, and that alone is making me rethink my putting of Wolfar lower on the tier list. I'm thinking maybe he deserved a little bit of a higher place. I think the rest of my tier list will be spot on, though. And speaking of which, Greenfinger is very strong. Greenfinger is scary. I think Greenfinger is going to do very, very well in this match. Stargen being Chappington being very aggressive with their commander. We see Dark Mercia going above this village into enemy territory, going very deep. But Stargen's just ignoring Chappington's Dark Mercia, taking a lot of villages wherever they can. Hey, for those of you just joining, this is GoW6 Swiss Qualifiers. Really aggressive dragon from Chappington. Knight goes out, flips the village. It looks like Chappington is just throwing powerful units into the fray. We see Dark Mercia rotating to the middle of the map, trying to get away from that golem that Stargen built on the left. But Greenfinger has groove. Greenfinger has groove. Now, the Chappington's new archer build will definitely help Greenfinger use that groove. We see swords are being used to isolate Dark Mercia. And then the knight went in and killed the mage. Oh, wow. And then with Greenfinger Groove, Dark Mercia is completely trapped. That was a beautiful way of trapping Dark Mercia as much as possible using the Greenfinger Groove. Really tactical plays, really tactical build. That was an amazing move by Stargen. Alright, Dark Mercia is able to escape and deal tons of damage to Stargen. We see so much happening here. The sea village goes down, the archer moves into position, the knight's taking a village. Greenfinger is in a tight spot. Was that it? Was that the end? Did Chappington just escape the trap and is now winning? Dark Mercia is still really deep into enemy territory. We see a knight crit come out on a knight and a sword hit it, but the knight just doesn't go down. Greenfinger retreats to heal, and Stargen is being forced to back up. What are they going to do with all those vines? I'm excited to see. Looks like the vines are just kind of hugging the battle here, making it more difficult for that dragon to move and protecting Greenfinger. Dark Mercia does have groove. We could see a big groove from Chappington. Hex goes out, doesn't do a ton of damage. Dark Mercia just attacks the vines. Dragon attacks the vines. It looks like Dark Mercia is just kind of using their units to harass the vines a little bit and peel them away, dealing as much damage as they can. We've got a good formation there. Archer backing it up. Dragon. Lots of flyers. But I think that witch could be killed by the mage very efficiently. Oh, we see a sword suicide into Dark Mercia because she's standing on forest. Another sword suicide. Could there be a lethal here? Could there be a lethal here? Hex goes out. Mage takes the harpy. 3 sides on Dark Mercia are exposed because the vines are misleadingly sides you can attack with. Oh, wow. So much damage in that attack. Brilliant assassination by Stargen. We saw the power of Greenfinger right there. Traps, and then plays 2 turns later. Amazing. This is why I'm saying Greenfinger is on the border of S and A tier this season. Really great plays. Alright, let's move on to the next match. I want to see GP27 versus Sigrid. Let's check them out. Okay, GP27 is playing Mohilder, and Samtaro, aka Sigrid, is playing Nuru. For those of you who don't know, Samtaro is famous in the Wargroove roleplay community for starting a very interesting love story that spawned an entire role-playing server between Sigrid, who survives the campaign somehow, falling in love with a Heavensong villager. It was so compelling that most role-players joined the community based off of that story. And Samtaro and the other role-player who made the story, Fubuki, left quite a legacy with that. But let's see how they do in PvP, because this is all about the tactics, not as much the story. We see GP27 going very deep with Mohilder and getting an early groove. They can use that groove to get a nice advantage on this map. And as I was saying before, Mohilder is really strong this season. Shu has been playing a lot of Mohilder. I'm sure we're going to see Mohilder be one of the dominating champions who is picked or banned as we get closer and closer to the World Tournament. Knight comes out. Everybody loves those knights. They're really good for taking out those center villages. They're good for boxing the commanders that try to go too aggressively. We see Mohilder summoning an early sword and going kind of deep, but that's risky to do right in front of that archer. I wonder whether or not they can win that trade. Meanwhile, Samtaro takes advantage of the archer and just attacks in, dealing a lot of damage while keeping their archer safe. Even if the swords are free, they're still swords. You can't throw them away when you're playing Mohilder. Samtaro making a very nice advance, and Nuru has groove. Now, strictly speaking, Mohilder can be much more efficient than Nuru if you use their groove correctly. This is one of the reasons that Mohilder is almost a Nuru counter, because Mohilder actually excels at getting early economy, and Nuru is terrible when she loses early economy. Especially with Trebs out of the way, I'd say Valdr is a very, very, very good pick here. But Samtaro is playing very well. We see them taking apart GP27's formation, trapping Valdr, and bringing in a lot of powerful units. I'd say the tactics of Samtaro are really strong in this match. We see a bunch of units scrambling to get over to the other side and help Valdr. Valdr assassinates the archer, dealing some very big, very efficient damage, and brings in a knight to back up this attack. Samtaro is going to have to be very clever in how they do this, or Valdr will escape, and they'll have actually lost the exchange. We see Nuru bringing out a teleport beam. We could just see Valdr go down here. The mage actually just runs out of the way. I'm a little bit confused by this. I think Samtaro might have fubbed the lethal there. I'm not entirely sure. I would have liked to have seen a knight crit come off of that, and the mage could have hit Valdr. I think there may have been some mistakes there in that attack. Valdr just heals up and continues pushing forward. That's a shame. Samtaro was playing really, really well, but I think they just made a mistake in that lethal there. Valdr was exposed on 4 sides. There were some powerful units in play. Nuru had Groove. I think we could have seen a Knight crit on that position. Let's see, appears there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we definitely could have seen a Knight crit on their position. That's a shame. Alright, Nuru goes in, takes out the Knight. They're not out of this game yet. They're trading well and continuing to move across the map. But if we look at the economy, we see that GP27 was able to get a lot of economy in that trade. Since Nuru pretty much runs on gold, that'll be a heavy hit to Nuru. We see the Giant approaching the Stronghold, the Dragon hits the Stronghold. It looks like this could be a victory by Stronghold assassination. GP27 has so much money right now in typical Valdr fashion, and is just pumping units at the Stronghold to take it down as quickly as possible. We see a bunch of units just riding up the right side of the map. It looks like they're trying to snipe the uncapped hideout, which would be pretty funny. Nuru goes in and just tries to deal as much damage to this formation as possible, actually taking out the pike over weakening the dragon. Lots of damage comes in. So much damage was done to that formation, and the Stronghold is protected, so it can only really be hit on one side. 2 sides, though, if the Harpy can go down, but it looks like the Mage is too weak to do it. The Dragon just kind of goes around, takes out the Knight. Valdr fearlessly attacks the Mage and follows it up with a powerful Knight attack, bringing the Golem down, and then using their own Golem to take out a sword. GP27 is making great trades and is ahead. I think that missed lethal may have cost Samtaro the game. GP27 being very, very aggressive here. What can Nuru do to possibly take the game back? Can they come back from this? It is possible. Valdr is a little bit low, and a lethal here could save it. But Samtaro is forced to dedicate forces to try to defend on the right, which unfortunately will sap them of the ability to deal too much damage to Valdr and create a lethal presence. They're also putting units in front of the Stronghold to prevent that from going down. Spread really thin, GP27 can put their forces on any front and go all out. It looks like they're choosing to try to end the game going for the Stronghold. We see a really nice mage come out there. 2 dragons just flying across the map, killing everything, and GP27 steals their hideout! Thieves could come out of that and start stealing from Samtaro's villages from behind the line. So many swords are in the back line right now. The only way Samtaro can win this, the only possible way Samtaro can win this, is if Valdr goes down. There are some suicides on the table. I don't think the Knight crit is available, though. Knight just goes in on the Golem. We see Nuru using Groove here instead of attacking Valdr directly. Goes for a Knight. It looks like they're going for the Knight crit this time, but it's just not going to be enough. It does a lot of damage, though, and puts a lot of pressure on Valdr. We see so much damage going in on the Stronghold, I think it will go down. Oh, Knight crit from beneath. Really nice positioning there. Positioning your Knights is so important on this map, and we see the victory go to GP27. I think Samtaro was doing amazing in the beginning of the game, but just dropped the ball on that lethal. Let's check out Game 2 between these players. Samtaro is playing Sigrid. Okay, the #1 Sigrid role player of Wargroove is finally playing Sigrid, and GP27 is sticking to Valdr. Now, Sigrid is not particularly a strong commander. but with the right strategy, there are certain HQ rush things you can do. I do think, though, that Volder is so high tier, it might not be enough. It might not be a match. Samtaro is advancing, choosing to attack the sword over capturing the village. I think ever since Zeronix did that to me in R1, accidentally a show match, everybody's been choosing to attack the advancing soldier instead of going for the village. Because it gives you momentum, and that's pretty useful. I don't know, maybe there's some situations where you want to just grab the village. Sigrid heals up. We see a similar opening to what Mohilder usually does. From both players, actually. No, not quite from GP27. They've actually healed on the advancing village. Slight difference. Really aggressive sword from GP27. One of the benefits of being Sigrid is you're not afraid of golems. You are not afraid of golems at all. What some players will do is they'll build a lot of knights into Sigrid. Oh, beautiful use of the sword crit. The sword crit is a really powerful strategy in Wargroove we don't see used nearly enough. But having swords near your commander gives you the ability to crit with them, which does a deceptively large amount of damage for a 100 gold unit. That was a beautiful play by Samtaro. Alright, we see Harpies coming out for Sigrid. I'm laughing because Harpies are a little bit of an irregular unit, but it's a unit that Sigrid actually builds a lot in the campaign. So Samtaro is actually playing this like Sigrid. It's funny to see role-player PvPers. I mean, everybody loves Sejun, but Samtaro is another one of the originals who isn't as well known because they've only recently started doing a lot of PvP. Alright, we see the Knight crit come... Ooh, regular Knight hit. That was just a regular Knight hit, so it didn't take down the village, but it did let Sigrid finish it, and then get Groove. Sigrid with Groove can eat a golem, so that golem actually has to be careful of the commander instead of the other way around. Really nice dragoning position, really nice harpy position. Once again, Samtaro is taking the early game against a Volder. Not an easy thing to do by any stretch. Very aggressive swords coming out. We see a knight going right into Sigrid, trying to bait out that Groove. Kind of like saying, hey, don't eat my golem, eat me, because you're low on health now. Volder summoning a sword to capture this village, and building a small force here to prevent these swords from advancing. We see the Harpy healing. Interesting, usually a damaged Harpy just kind of sticks around as a flying roadblock, but Sigrid is taking care of their Harpy. We see Sigrid actually retreating at low health, and dropping a mage heal to heal commander and a damaged sword. Not particularly an efficient way to do that, especially since that village would probably flip, but it's a little bit safer and gets them out of harm's way. The golem is advancing and takes down that village now that there's nothing defending it. We see archers and pikes going in on that village to take it, while still giving the knights free range. We might see the knights attack something, or just kind of reposition. The 6th knight repositions to heal. That was a very efficient attack by that knight, and Samtaro is starting to get pushed off. Really nice use of the dragon to snipe that knight. Sigrid can go deep here because if the golem doesn't retreat, it's going to get eaten. Oh, and to use the 2-dog to finish off the archer. I love these plays so much. And I think that dragon, because of the terrain, is actually safe from both the mage and the witch. Beautiful play by Samtaro. Really beautiful play. Samtaro is most certainly not one of the PvP veterans, but they have apparently developed a very unique style that is very fun to watch and very Wargroove. Oh, that golem is getting nommed. That golem is most certainly getting nommed. There are no two ways about it. Volder is just going deep and attacking with everything they can. It was a little bit risky, though, to make that witch play, because now the mage can take out the witch, which is a very efficient trade for Samtaro. Yep, there it is, witch goes down. Samtaro retreating their own mage and just dealing tons of damage to Volder's advancing forces. Nom the golem! Nom the golem! There it is! There it is! Sigrid Groove being useful! This match is amazing in so many ways, but mostly we see a Sigrid fighting evenly against a Volder. This is just incredible. Oh, unfortunately, the dragon is going to take quite a bit of damage here. Actually, it's going to completely go down. It might have been just a little bit too much to put the dragon in there. And a GP27 is able to recover some significant ground after losing their golem. We see Volder is flooding the map with swords, and if we take a quick peek at the unit count, which is very important, and also the fact that both players are down to 10 minutes, we can't forget that either, we see that it's pretty even, as well as the gold. Now, Samtaro has more time on their clock than their opponent. That's very important, especially playing Sigrid, because Sigrid can kind of be a little bit more aggressive when you're low on time than Volder can, because you can't just throw golems and just move golems into Sigrid, right? Because Sigrid can eat the golems, whereas Volder has to position and move a lot of swords. So Samtaro is actually playing a little bit passively, because they don't really have to start fights. They could just time out their opponent. GP27 really has to end this. But they're being very aggressive, taking a lot of big victories in that trade. I think Samtaro didn't retreat quite enough there. We see the Golem going in on Sigrid. Harpy attack into Sigrid, which is important because it doesn't give Sigrid any groove. Sigrid might actually have to retreat even further here. And time is running low. With only 12 minutes... Oh, Sigrid gets a really nice Knight attack and Mage crit, taking out the Golem. Not even saving it for Sigrid. They just want to kind of stall out GP27's ability to take big plays. Double Knight heal into Volder's face, dog hit into Volder. They're forcing GP27 to take as much time on their turn as possible to respond to this situation. GP27 is running out of time, 5 minutes left on the clock. They're scrambling, trying to recover an attack into Sigrid's attack force. Knight goes in on the weaker Knight. Very good trades. They're making very good trades. But as long as Sigrid can get even close and prevent Volder from ending the game, they'll be fine. But GP27's making really good trades. If we look at the unit count again, Samtaro is ahead on economy, but behind on units. They're almost 6 units down, discounting villages. This could be really bad because you could still lose your stronghold even if your clock is low. We see a lot of damage going into that Knight, and that's important because the Knight could be used to end the game. Sigrid doing some big damage to that Mage. I'm not finishing it off, instead just using the Mage to kill the Harpy. Very efficient attack, very good. The Mage suicides into Sigrid. I don't know if that was wise. They're giving Sigrid groove, but I guess they're attacking Sigrid so much it doesn't matter. Yeah, GP27 is just out of time. They're just doing whatever they can at this point to try to make Samtaro spend some of their clock. But Samtaro is just setting up Knight crits on the HQ, getting ready to win. Samtaro has time, and they're using it to end the game. GP27, with only 2 minutes left on the clock, just it basically surrenders, gives the respectable GG, moves their commander onto road. Samtaro finishes them off, and that's game. Really well played by Samtaro, managing to effectively stall out a Volder, which is amazing to do as Sigrid. Great game, that was fantastic. Like, so far, that was my favorite game. It didn't have any dramatic or flary moments. It ended basically on time, but just the tactics and the fact that Samtaro played just like Sigrid and GP27 also played a really good Volder. Overall, I love that game. I think this set, these two players playing against each other, it was one of my favorites so far. All right, let's take a look at Billy Bones versus Lewis. Am I going to do all of them? I don't know if I'm going to do all of them. Whoops, no, they haven't done that yet. They haven't done that yet. Don't look at that one. Alright, ooh, Cat Memes versus T-Tam. I want to see this. In the yellow, we have Cat Memes going Emmerich. Emmerich is a very solid commander on this map. And Poker Brat, aka T-Tam, going Volder. I said it before, I think Volder is amazing on this. I think, no question, absolutely 100%, we're going to see some fantastic Volders. But so far, I don't know, Sigrid took out Volder. It just goes to show you that it's, commanders are not all deciding at this stage. At even the world level qualifiers, commanders are not all deciding. You can beat a Volder with a Sigrid. And I like that. I like that. The more often that happens, the more balanced this game is. I think the more we see the commander upsets, the more balanced the game is. Alright, so we see a lot of dogs being made by cat memes, and, you know, the obligatory knight comes out. Valder taking an early village, getting groove. This is pretty par for the course, there's nothing unusual here. Except I guess T-Tam sort of won the battle against the commander. I don't know how that happened, but their sword actually beat up Emmerich and made Emmerich leave? How did you do that with a sword? What magic did T-Tam use there to threaten off a commander with a soldier? And T-Tam is just advancing. We see the knight crit come in on the village from below so the knight can advance on more villages. We see some powerful formations setting up. The double dog into Valder is smart because dogs really counter swords. So you can use them to wall the swords, you can use them to attack the swords. T-Tam did a very smart thing there. I don't know if you picked up on that. But Valder actually summoned the sword close to him and didn't do anything with it. What a lot of new Valder players do is they'll summon the sword and then kind of throw it away. Like, they'll just get rid of it. But what T-Tam did there is save it to make it a valuable unit and body block for use later. That is the high-level way to play Valder. If you don't have a use for it, just keep it around. Alright, we see T-Tam just kind of camping on their economy. If we look at the economy here, T-Tam is up 600 gold. They don't have to attack. They can just sit here and make it difficult for Emmerich to get villages back. We see Cat Memes finally puts down the crystal, flips a few villages but doesn't quite capture them either, meaning they're going to go another couple of turns being behind on economy. They're sort of building up forces in the middle here, taking note that most of T-Tam's army is on the left, but because they have nothing on the left, T-Tam will be free to either take villages, which is what they're doing, or transition to the center, which is also what they're doing. They're doing both of these things. In fact, T-Tam is even pulling a little bit to the left, respecting Emmerich's crystal, respecting Emmerich's force, and being like, okay, you want to fight? Let's fight over here, where I have most of my army. Really great positioning from T-Tam. We see Cat Memes is forced to shuffle their units around and trying to get some ground, but they really can't. They're just zoned out completely by T-Tam. They're camping on the crystal, trying to push out, trying to make a powerful formation here, but they're fighting into multiple giants, a whole lot of swords. T-Tam doesn't even have to do anything here. They just have to hold their position. And they're doing a great job of it. Respecting the archer, they're backing up a little bit, but now their golems are in range of each other. They have a pike over here. They have a mage chained to everything. They have multiple mages chained to every front. It is really hard for Cat Memes to push out of this. We see a sword just suiciding into the golem, anything to weaken it a little bit. Knight goes in but doesn't attack. They're just trying to push forward. Sword goes into Valder. Cat Memes doesn't know what to do. They've only got 5 minutes left. I can't stress this enough. They've only got 5 minutes left on this clock. They've been spending so much time just trying to break through T-Tam's formation. T-Tam is at 30 minutes! T-Tam has barely used any time at all. Finally, Cat Memes has moved in close enough for T-Tam to attack, and oh, what an attack it is. It's a slaughter. So much damage is coming in right now. My computer froze. My computer couldn't take the awesome, and it literally just froze. And how incredibly overbearing T-Tam's attack was. We see a heal go down, so many units rushing forward. My processing power struggling to keep up with how powerful this attack is. And Valder backs the heck off to make sure they don't get lethaled, but throws another sword into the mix, and 3 guesses what that sword is going to attack. I guess you have enough time since we're still frozen here. Hold on a minute. I'm going to try to resolve this. There we go. Yup, the mage. It attacks the mage, dealing some great damage. Valder is nowhere near anything that can kill it, and T-Tam is in amazing position. Meanwhile, Cat Memes has no time left on the clock. They just kind of put their commander in a balloon for the surrender, and the meme GG. Cat Memes ending the game with a meme. You know, that was like super respectable. I can't tell you how respectable that was. Cat Memes ended the game with a meme. I love that so much. Let's check out, I want to check out, let's see, Pedient versus Red Jams. Oh my goodness, that's going to be a heck of a set. Now, for those of you who don't know, Red Jams is one of the favorites in the Swiss Qualifiers. Red Jams went really far in the last World Tournament, and Sequoia, I believe, were some of the people noted who could potentially take out Zeronix or Shu. That's Red Jams, by the way. They always change their name on Steam, but that's Red Jams, and they will be fighting into Pedient in the blue, who is playing Elodie. Interesting. Vesper is one of the commanders I said would be amazing this season, and I am not surprised in the slightest that Red Jams is playing Vesper, as they've done Vesper in the past and are pretty good at the Vesper sort of coordinated HQ assault strategy. Meanwhile, Pedient going for a lower tier commander, Elodie, though I'm excited to see if they can pull off a good golem steal. We see an early village flip come out from Red Jams, followed by like an early semi-heal on that water village. Looks like Pedient is doing the same thing. I wonder if they studied from the same opening. And the sword just kind of wraps around and retakes the village to annoy Red Jams some more. It's a really early and deep village cap by that sword. It looks like Red Jams is having some trouble with it. Sword goes in on the sword, and Commander goes in on the sword, taking it out. Getting some good momentum there, and getting rid of the harass. Nice play by Red Jams. Alright, we see Elodie going pretty deep, building their first golem, and Red Jams is yet to have a golem, but I think we'll see them get one soon. Elodie will have Groove at the end of her turn. Vesper. Vesper will have Groove at the end of her turn, giving Red Jams Groove, and Elodie is actually nowhere near Groove yet. All the harassing Pedient did actually just fed Vesper a lot of Groove, and that could come back to bite Pedient. Incidentally, those of you who saw my match against Pedient on, oh my goodness, what was that map? Oh, the one with all the thieves and the chaos in the middle. That was a pretty close game. Pedient can be very scary. They're famous for suddenly grouping their entire army together and just pushing. I've seen Pedient do that so many times, it is frightening to fight against. As you can see, with a really nice balloon placement, they've dropped a whole lot of army in the middle, and are starting to conglomerate, but leaving a couple units on the right. I don't love that though, because the units they left on the right can't deal with a knight at all, so the knights are pretty much free to just go over there and do what they want. Lots of dogs, no pikes, not as many knights. That golem might have a little bit of trouble fighting into the dragon. I think Red Jam's unit comp is a little bit better right now, and where the units are in relation to their opponent's units is very, very good. We see Pedient just sniping another sword. Pedient's been slowly building that lead on killing swords, but they're having a lot of trouble dealing with the knights on that side. They build a pike, but it's going to take a long time to get over there. They have a pike here, but again, it's not on the right yet, and they're slowly inching forward. I want to take a look at the economy real quick. We see both players are pretty close to even. Red Jam's continuing the harassment on that side, now bringing a dragon into the mix, and it's all backed up by Vesper Groove. You've got to be careful with Vesper Groove. You could suddenly lose your HQ, lose your commander, or lose your army if you're not paying attention to what it can do. But Red Jams has been holding it for a while. We haven't seen them use it yet, so Elodie might be able to get Groove in time. Really nice push by Pedient down the south. The dragon chose to go to the right, so they shoved the golem down the left flank, dealing a lot of economy damage. But it means their forces will be a little bit weaker in the middle. This might be the time for Red Jams to push out. Well, actually, no. Red Jams is going for the right side. If you're taking the left side of the map, I'll take the right side, so says Red Jams. Red Jams is rotating their units, kind of making a diagonal front with Pedient. Interesting play with the dog. I don't know how I feel about that. There was no need to harass the pike, and the dog can be killed. Though I guess they're just trying to start a fight over there where they have more stuff. That actually makes a lot of sense, because if you follow up on that attack, like if you actually want to kill the dog, you'd have to dedicate so much to it. Oh, super risky! Elodie goes in, but that's really risky considering that Vesper has Groove and there's so many powerful units in play. Heal goes down on Elodie. I think that was really necessary. Dog goes in on that sword, but now it's in suicide range. There is a lot of bad things that can happen here, but if the lethal fails, Elodie could steal a giant or a golem. Knight goes in, Golem goes in, lots of damage is being done. I think they're trying to kill everything except Elodie. Maybe trying to get a surround on her so that Vesper can go for a multi-turn kill. That's looking more and more likely as we see more and more attacks coming out. We see the Hex coming out. We see dog crits coming out. Forget about the surround. Elodie might go down right now. Yep, that's GG. Yeah, that was just a little bit too exposed, and of course, Red Gems is a veteran player. They were able to take advantage of that. Unlike Pediant's usual style, they were a little bit too spread out, and Red Gems was able to perfectly predict where to start a fight and made the win happen. Let's check out round 2 with these two players. Alright, Pediant is now going Vesper, and Red Gems is going Tenri. Tenri is an interesting commander. Tenri is very, very good to use against newer players, but against experienced players she kind of falls off because they can predict her assassinations a little bit better, or stop her from using them in the first place. The more units on the board, the weaker Tenri gets. It's one of the reasons I didn't put Tenri as high on the tier list. When she wins, it's really cool, it looks like she's really strong, but a lot of the time she can't really do anything. Her groove is better held as a threat than actually using it, or you use it to just take a little bit of gold advantage, but it's not really worth the slow charge. Tenri versus Vesper, though, is a classic matchup. I think Tenri is slightly better. I think Tenri is a bit better, just because she's more consistent. You can always get good use out of a Vesper groove, even if you're kind of behind, even if you can't pull off the assassination, you can make good army trades with it. Tenri is a little bit less consistent and relies more on your opponent making a mistake. If your opponent makes mistakes, Tenri can be amazing, but if they're very solid, you might want more of a Vesper. That's just my take on it, though. Other people might have different opinions. I personally think that Vesper is one of the top 3 commanders this season, and Tenri just is not. But we see both players striving for that sweet, sweet groove. Both players have access to some interesting cheeses, and Tenri versus Vesper is a classic rivalry. I'd say that regardless of how good they are in general versus each other, they're about even. Especially because Tenri groove can actually be used to escape Vesper's trap cheese, which is very unusual. Most commanders can't do that, but Tenri can actually target herself when she's in smoke, enabling her to escape Vesper's four-side trap cheese. For this reason, there's sort of a weird I counter you, you counter me kind of thing going on. And there have been situations where they both burn each other's groove, and then the match just comes down to tactics and units. So it's a very good matchup. We see double golems coming out from Vesper. Golems are really nice to have on Vesper, because you can just kind of put them in a powerful position, cover them with smoke, and then destroy everything in your path next turn. We see Tenri is not going to hold groove for assassination. Tenri is just going to burn it and immediately use it to kill a golem. Getting a +1 on units and a good 1200 gold lead, Red Gems has decided that it's worth it to just burn the Tenri groove, Sigridify the golem, and anticipating that Pediant's Vesper can't really do anything in response. And sure enough, Pediant really doesn't have the forces to contend with what just happened. They don't have anything to punish it. So Tenri can just fire groove again, and Vesper can't really do anything with their groove. Really good of Red Gems to notice that, and just say, yeah, no, I'm just going to yank your golem, and you can't stop me because you don't have enough troops yet. It's actually really scary that they did that. Because I'm thinking, like, can you get as much value with Vesper in, like, the first couple of turns with your groove? I don't know. I don't know. That particular yank on this particular map might just make Tenri better. I'm not even sure. But that was a really good play either way. We see lots of damage coming in from Vesper, not using groove and positioning knights in a threatening way on that HQ. Red Gems has to be careful because they do not have groove. They cannot use groove on this. And Vesper has some HQ cheeses that have just activated. We see Red Jams is not afraid at all, moving some units down the left side of the map to capture economy, and just kind of putting some stuff around the stronghold to prevent the cheese. They're backing up a little bit, respecting the Vesper groove here, because now it's Vesper's turn to use groove, dropping a heal on the golem and putting their units in a very defensive formation. Red Jams does not want to lose their HQ to Vesper groove here. More golems coming out from Pedient. Look at those beautiful, beautiful golems. And Vesper is just holding groove. Now that Vesper has groove and Tenri doesn't, although the golem yank was really good in terms of economy, it was bad in terms of tempo, because Pedient can now control the tempo by threatening to use groove during any fight. If Red Gem starts a fight, they have to dominate. There has to be no counterattack, no long-term fighting at all, or else Pedient will ultimately win the trade. We see them rotating units all around, trying to, as much as possible, just rotate their units and get the best possible positioning here. There's almost nothing they can do to really kind of advance, but they have a very solid defense, and they're just waiting for Pedient to mess up so they can go in. Oh, Pedient is going in! We see the smoke shroud go down, but I don't know why. I don't know why. They can set up here, but there's nothing really to play off of. They go for a hex, but it just kind of damages some units. I mean, if we look at the economy again, Pedient had the lead. They didn't need to do this right here. There was nothing for Tenri to attack and get groove off of. They could have waited a few more turns, but maybe they just got impatient. I mean, they had plenty of time left, too. I'm not even sure. I think that was a little bit premature. I think Red Jams was kind of trying to bait out the groove, and they succeeded. Because Red Jams can now just shuffle around the stronghold, and as long as they can't really be attacked, this groove is just busted. A really solid formation. Not much they can damage here. Maybe they can go in on the knights a little bit, but it's pretty punishable. I'm just not seeing the attack here. I'm just not seeing it. We see Pedient flip some villages, which is, you know, it's nice. It's not bad. Does some damage to the dog, does some damage to mage. Goes for some more hexes, taking down a sword in the process. Oh, but Pedient's Vesper is standing on a very bad tile. That beach tile makes them extremely vulnerable, and there's so many powerful units in play. I don't think they're going to live this unless they... Yeah, using golems to kill dogs is just not efficient if you're at risk of losing the golem in the process. Lots of units coming in, but I don't think Vesper is safe there. I think this is very lethalable. Pedient might have just not known what else to do here. They grouped up their army, but Red Gems had a really solid formation. Lots of damage coming in on that knight, taking it out. Vesper's now exposed on two sides. We see the Hex go in. Vesper is now exposed on three sides. This is GG. There was a dragon follow-up if that wasn't enough. Yeah, you can't stand on a beach tile next to a giant, a commander, and a dragon. GG, well played. If we look at the scores, they were pretty even in a lot of ways. They were pretty even on unit kills. They were pretty even on economy, on unit count. In a lot of ways, this was a very even match. But what it ultimately came down to is Red Jams played against their opponent very well. They used the early Tenri groove to get an early lead and slow down Vesper's tempo. And then when Vesper had tempo, Red Jams was able to stall and bait out the groove early, prevent Pedient from getting a good groove off, build up a lot of units, to just kind of make it so they couldn't go in. And as a result of doing that, was able to eventually win the game. Attacking in Wargroove is really hard. It's very difficult to attack into a good defense. I have trouble with it. And Red Gems took advantage of that fact to basically take the game. But really solid game, really solid play from both players. I think we've seen almost every game. No! We need to see Mvacm versus Fated Sun, and I think Cleaner has some games as well. Let's take a look. Oh, beautiful. Mvacm is playing Volder. And Fated is playing Greenfinger. Finally, a matchup that respects the tier list I made. You guys clearly watch my videos. Now, I will say, though, so far, commanders have not mattered. In the matches we've seen, it's really come down to player skill, in one cases planning a very effective cheese, but so far, the commanders themselves have not determined the match. Mvacm in red is playing Valder, I'm sorry, I should have said this, and Greenfinger in blue is Fated Sun, a map creator versus probably the person who's played the most ranked matches this season. These two actually have an amazing relationship when you think about it. Mvacm plays a lot of Fated Sun's maps. I play your maps. I can defeat you. You don't play your maps nearly as much as I do. No, I made the maps! How could you possibly beat me? Oh, this is amazing. Alright, we see the usual night shenanigans, we see the usual village take shenanigans, but Red owns actually both side villages, which is interesting. One thing I'm not seeing, though, is the Valders getting a huge eco lead. The point of Valder is, in my opinion, you want a huge eco lead. You want to snowball a huge eco lead or a huge unit count lead. You want to just snowball some kind of lead. But the Valders we've seen so far have not been doing that. I don't know if it's this map or if they're not as familiar with Valder. But if you're not getting that sweet, sweet eco lead, is Valder still powerful? Shu thinks so. Shu has been saying in chat that you can use Valder actually as a stall commander. But in my opinion, that's the opposite of what you should do. It just works because Shu likes to stall. But I think Valder actually falls off in the late game, and Valder's strongest in the early game. And who knows, Shu is a two-time world champ, maybe they know a thing or two about Wargroove, hypothetically, or maybe they're trolling. It's anybody's guess. Either way, though, it's interesting to see that the Valders have not been taking early economy. Greenfinger has Groove, and actually Greenfinger into Valder is a really great matchup because it's a war of unit count. Valder gets permanent unit count very quickly and very often, but at a I guess, a slow quantity at a time. But Greenfinger gets 5 at once with reduced frequency. I don't know what to make of it. Oh, huge damage coming in on Greenfinger. We see a trap being set up by Mvacm. Using the village, the soldier, the dragon, and the mage, Greenfinger is trapped. And they can't get out. Oh, that is such a nice play right there. That is such a nice play. Greenfinger had no choice but to burn Groove here to try to get themselves out of this. That was so beautiful. I don't know what else to say. That wasn't even a Groove trap. That was just a unit trap. Really well played by Mvacm. Now with Fated Sun having to burn Groove, they're going to be in a huge disadvantage here because those vines won't really be able to do anything. Mvacm retreating. They burn Greenfinger's Groove. That's all they set out to do. They have to back up a little bit. Just damaging the vines, moving their golems forward, rotating the dragon out of the harm's way of those mages, and setting up a nice pike wall in the center. Interestingly enough, both of these players are building pikes and using them effectively. But even weirder, we see that they're... Oh, no. Accounting for vines... Faded is ahead on unit count, but realistically the vines are fading. The vines are pretty far back. I spoke too soon! Despite having to burn Groove there, the vines enabled the thief to get a really nice steal, and they were still able to recapture the village. That's hilarious. That's adorable. So Greenfinger was still able to use the vines in conjunction with the thief. That was such a nice recovery by Fated Sun. We see the golems are still going in deep, harassing the heck out of Greenfinger. Another golem is coming out, and a mage goes in to damage that sword. And the sword takes out the village, getting a nice roll there, taking it down completely. And we see Mvacm recovering villages on the left flank that were taken while they got distracted. The dragon is uncontested on the left for right now. We might see a witch or something descend, but in the meantime, there's no anti-air. But there's no anti-air on Mvacm's side either, and Fated sends in their own dragon. So the dragons have their choice of pickings of the non-dragon units. Knights going into golems, pikes going into golems. I don't know how I feel about these trades. It looks very good for Mvacm because they can heal these golems with the mage there and then proceed to pound these units into submission. But it is a very costly trade because golems are really expensive. You don't want to fight with golems if your opponent has twice the number of units that you do, and Faded was able to put down double Mvacm's number on the right side of the map. Those golems really need some solid reinforcement if they're going to keep fighting. Great use of that golem there to take down the knight. We see efficient mage heal strategies coming out, and a sword comes out. Ultimately, Mvacm will deal a lot of unit count damage in this turn. Mvacm becoming a golem master, very true. Not sure about those attacks from Faded. Seem to soften up. Yep. I see in chat that Chappington is on the same page and has a similar concern about pushing into golems like that. Ultimately, if Faded was able to overwhelm the golems, I think it would have worked, but the mage kind of made it not work. The golems can heal and just kill the units. Also, because Valder can summon a sword and bring it in to pad their numbers, and the vines can't quite go deep enough, I think the overwhelm the golem strategy just didn't work. But when you have 3 golems, it's really hard to overwhelm them. It is really hard to overwhelm them. Alright, the golems are going really deep, just kind of taking out the... Oh, he got the thief! That's unfortunate. That thief nab right there is worth basically 1,000 gold. That was 1,000 gold of damage. I think Mvacm is doing so well. A mage heals a mage to hit a dragon. That's beautiful. We see a witch go in just to harass it just a little bit more and enable the sword to take out the knight so the other sword can grab the village. Oh, what a play! Mvacm is basically saying, you might have made these maps Faded, but I know how to play them. And we see the GG. We see the GG. Faded just surrenders. There's 3 golems pushing into your base. We have got to see match 2 with these guys. It is just so good. Such a quality match. I'm really enjoying it. Let's check it out. Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Faded is playing the twins, and Mvacm is playing Wolfar. Again, ever since it was not meant to be a show match between me and Zeronix, everybody has been picking Wolfar to counterplay the twins. I can't honestly say it's a bad decision. Wolfar does have the ability to harass the twins early, which makes it more difficult for them to set up. And I really want to see how good the twins can be on this map, because we have a lot of knights, which the twins love. The stronghold is in range, with the twins love. You can zone critical territory. Is there any reason not to play the twins on this map? For real. Why is this the first time I'm seeing this? Have they just been banned every game? Nah, part of the problem is the twins are not inherently strong. The twins are very difficult to play. You have to play very well in order to use them. Even their ultimate cheese takes many turns to use and set up, and there's a lot of room for error. And you can die. You can die from your own fire. So, there's a reason people don't play the twins. The twins are hard. The twins are not easy by any stretch. Now, I think we're gonna see some good plays here. We've got some very nice advances from both players, kind of going forward with their commanders. They're ending their turns quickly. I wonder if they're thinking it's going to be a time race, because, like, I'm not seeing a lot of complex movement, just some basic, simple movement across the map. Wolfar kind of has that dog and sword trapped. I wonder how they're going to get out of there. And the twins also have groove. And a lot of knights, though. Yeah, Faded Sun is not looking to rush their twins groove. They're happy to slow the game down, make sure they get economy, kill a sword, take over the left flank, make sure they don't lose too much on the right flank. They're doing a good job of playing an even game, which you really have to do as the twins, because if you make your groove an all-or-nothing gambit, you're more likely to lose the game. A dog crit goes in from Mvacm on the twins, apparently just doing anything to slow them down and keep them away from the center of the map. This is the real power of twins fire, not the fact that you have it, or even using it, but what it makes your opponent do. We see some really nice trades coming in, all in favor of, surprise, surprise, the twins. But Faded doesn't really have Golem or Dragon, or anything to deal with Golem and Dragon, aside from that mage. So I think they're going to start suffering, unless they can make some plays. That knight goes really deep. Really deep. Faded is just like, okay, I'm going to lose something to your dragon. Here, have all the options in the world. Dragon, of course, takes out the knight, though, and gets a lot of value out of that. Oh, wow, so much damage coming in from Mvacm. Mvacm is turning it around now with these really solid trades. And Wolfar just attacking right into a knight, because why not? Faded needs some power units. They need their own golem. They need their own dragon. They need something. They need something to push their opponent off, and they just don't have it. They've got a couple pikes in the center, but it's not really doing a lot for them. And they've got Groove, but they can't use it. Wolfar hasn't been using Groove either, but he doesn't really need to. You see, Wolfar just taking units, happily taking units, and increasing their unit count. Let's take a look at the unit count, by the way. It is pretty even, but Mvacm has a slow lead. That they're slowly growing. We see Dragon is just rotating around the map, Dragon on the right, Golem on the left, Witch in the middle, basically saying, I don't care where we fight, I'm good. And Faded Sun, taking advantage of their opponent being a little bit split, puts fire in place, and is ready to start playing this game! Oh, that is a very, very, very aggressive knight. That knight is probably gonna die. I really hope that they're okay with that. Also, Faded Sun did not put the fire in the usual position. Normally, you put fire 2 away and 1 away. Sort of like an L shape away from the stronghold, if you want to go for like the double knight crit strategy. But they put it just 2 away. This will make it get to 1 tile of the stronghold much more quickly, but will prevent the 1-turn double knight crit. Could it be that Faded has devised a new twin strategy that is possibly more effective than previous twin strategies? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. How is this knight still alive? How did Mvacm not kill this knight? I'm confused. Also, the twins are basically ignoring their own fire and rotating around the map, taking villages. I'm confused by Faded's strategy here. I've got to check this. Yeah, Faded is really down on money. Mvacm is just bleeding them across the map, using their powerful units to push. They're just taking villages left and right. I think at this point, Faded need to double down on the cheese because they were just losing too heavily. Mvacm is going in so deep right now. So very deep. What are they gonna do? I have no idea what they can possibly do in this situation. They're just getting hammered by Mvacm, taking so much damage. The fire is spreading, but it's not really doing anything because the battle is already past where the fire was. This is kind of why most people don't play the twins. The twins are hard. The twins are hard, and like your groove could end up being completely useless. Yeah, takes the dragon down. That village is a sea village. You can't walk through it. Oh, big damage on Wolfar. He's not gonna go down to that though. Yeah, he goes for the roll, but just wasn't having it. Just wasn't having it, and gives the GG. Well played, Faded Sun and Mvacm. Okay, I think there's one more set that I haven't done yet. I just heard from Cleaner Code that apparently this is the wrong code. This is the right one. Let's jump into it. Alright, Mr. Cat versus Cleaner Code. We've got Emmerich versus Elodie, a classic matchup. Is it a classic matchup? I don't know if this is a classic matchup. I don't think it's a classic matchup. Maybe it should be. You might remember Cleaner Code as doing amazingly well in the Eastern brackets during Swiss for Groove of War 5. We had some very intense matches between the two of us. And they're pretty much famous for being one of the better Greenfinger players out right now, if not the best. Now, Cleaner Code playing Elodie is interesting, because if they could bring Greenfinger into the spotlight, perhaps they can find a way to make Elodie good as well. Though again, so far, I've got to say that I don't think the Commander grooves have been defining these matches. I think it's been largely the players. But you never know. There's always the pressure of groove, what a groove can do, how that makes you move. There are a lot of hidden factors. We don't know every single thing everybody was thinking. Alright, Cleaner Code is going pretty deep. They have control over their right flank. They seem to be winning on the left as well. And they've started to push center with Elodie, who is at 45%. Emmerich has groove, though being a fast charger, that makes sense. And is not going to capture that village again because they don't want to give Elodie even more. Goes for the early Golem. Mr. Cat, I approve of your choice of Golem. Cleaner Code kind of backing off a little bit, rotating their units. Grabbing that village with Elodie, bringing out the Knight. Are we going to see a Golem or a Dragon? It looks like it'll be a Dragon from Cleaner Code. The eternal choice of Golem versus Dragon. Pick Dragon, guys! Nah, sometimes the Golem is the right choice. Actually, why not both? Why not have a Dragon and a Golem? Surely you have enough gold for it. Alright, we see a Night Mage come out from Mr. Cat. That'll be pretty good. We see that big units are very impactful. If you don't have something that can stand up to them, they can sweep an entire side. We see Cleaner Code pushing down the center. Wow, going really deep with that dog. Really deep with that commander. This is something that's very Cleaner Code. They have a habit of going really, really deep sometimes. Often to a scary extent. Is there lethal here? I don't think there is. Props to them for noticing that there wasn't lethal there. Might have been. I don't know. Maybe if Emmerich could have gotten the crystal there, Mage Crit Golem. I don't know. I don't think there was lethal there. Either way, if there was, Mr. Cat didn't find it. They're just kind of harassing Elodie and pushing forward a little bit and bringing their troops forward. Cleaner Code is backing up, having gotten the groove they wanted. At 85%, Cleaner Code is going to get groove in 3 turns at least. Then uses the Dragon and Golem to sweep across the left side. They'll probably have to retreat a little bit in the middle, just due to Emmerich standing there, the Golem standing there. Yep, they're backing up just a little bit. And we see a balloon come out with some pikes. They're probably looking to drop some pikes to defend some of their villages. Heal comes out on Golem Sword. Not completely efficient, but not bad either. Emmerich is not able to take it out. The village had too much health. But Emmerich gets a bit of groove, and we see some more damage come out on Elodie. Elodie is looking a little bit trapped. Remember, you can't walk through the sea village, so Elodie will kind of have to go around if she wants to get out of there, because there's no killing those swords and that golem. We see the balloon come over to pick up the pike. Elodie captures the sea village and heals off of it, but doesn't let up. Goes for doggo attack, doggo crit, doggo follow-up. Lots of doggo damage coming down. We see the dragon coming in, the knight coming in. Cleaner Code is just doing damage wherever humanly possible, choosing to capture that village on the left to chain capture it, capturing the middle village as they push. Basically saying, okay, I know you can counterattack this, but I'm going to do so much damage that it doesn't matter. Now Elodie has groove. That golem has to be really careful or it could get snatched by Elodie. Really nice timing, noticing that they get groove at the end of this turn, enabling them to push very aggressively. Whoa, we see a suicide come out. Not sure why, though. I don't see a kill here. Big damage. Big damage. Big damage. And, GG. Yeah, I guess Mr. Cat was just kind of YOLOing at that point. But amazing plays by... Thanks, everybody, for coming. I hope you enjoyed these amazing matches. That's all for now. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below, and welcome to Wargroove.